Meanwhile, though, we do want to turn to politics now, where an assortment of new polls show that Donald Trump is lagging far behind his Democratic rival, Hillary Clinton. The latest polls do show this. Hillary Clinton some 10 points ahead nationally among registered voters. Meanwhile, Trump losing ground as well in two key swing states. In Michigan, Clinton is beating him by 9 points, 41 to 32%. As you see there, though, the numbers are more dire in the state of New Hampshire, another swing state, however small. In a head-to-head matchup there, Trump is trailing by 17 points. As you can see, 51 to 34%. Now, those new numbers come as conflict within the GOP is escalating. RNC Chair Reince Priebus has condemned Donald Trump's refusal to, among other things, endorse House Speaker Paul Ryan's primary bid, while earlier, campaign chairman Paul Manafort came to Trump's defense.
Reince Priebus is a strong supporter of Donald Trump and a good friend and supporter of Paul Ryan. And he's been a bridge to the two between the party and the campaign since Mr. Trump became the presumptive nominee in April. They've spoken several times in the last 2 days. They're very good friends. We're doing a lot of things together. There's a conflict within the Trump campaign, and we've sort of had a rule of not getting involved in primaries because it's usually not a good situation for the presidential candidate. Of course he's going to work with Paul Ryan. Of course he's tried to bridge the party together with Paul Ryan. But Ryan is also running against somebody who's not going to win, but nonetheless is a strong supporter of Mr. Trump's. And so it's not just in Paul Ryan's district. That gets all the notoriety because it's the speaker.
CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris is with us from Washington to discuss, as is Washington Post political reporter Jenna Johnson. Jenna does cover the Trump campaign. So you two, we just heard Paul Manafort discussing what has been described by one of our colleagues as a magical new policy of not endorsing politicians in primaries. Our Major Garrett, in fact, has reported that the policy simply isn't real and may be just a measure of cover here. So Steve, to you first, what to make of what is very apparently a disconnect within the campaign?
Well, I mean, this falls squarely on the lap of Donald Trump. I mean, this is a guy who basically goes out there and says whatever he wants to say. He's asked a question, he answers it the way he wants to answer it, regardless of whether there's a strategy or not. And then you've got staff that goes out there, or in the case of his running mate, Mike Pence, they're out there basically chasing the bull in the china shop and picking up all the pieces that he smashed behind him with the broom. It's like, you know, it's a constant battle for his campaign to basically clean up the messes that Trump has been getting himself into in terms of messaging. He's asked a question, he answers it wrong or answers it controversially, and somebody else is out there cleaning it up. So whether that's disorder or whether that's just the candidate just totally freelancing, it's not working.
From Manafort there today, Jenna, to Mike Pence, again, seeming at times as though he is running a campaign actively opposing his own boss. It does seem as though there is either a distinct lack of strategy here or one known only to a few. What do you make of it?
Well, I think in a lot of cases there is a strategy, and everyone at the campaign is on board with that strategy except for Donald Trump. And he will say or do things that just completely undermine what his staff has been trying to do. And I keep thinking back to a few weeks ago when the staff says it accidentally tweeted out a picture of Hillary Clinton that involved cash and a Star of David, and they defended it by saying they thought it was a sheriff's star. They took the tweet down, they put a different tweet up. The controversy had kind of started to go away, and then Donald Trump steps right back in it and says they should have left the original tweet up. I would have defended it as it was. And we're again seeing that play out this week with his refusal to endorse Paul Ryan and John McCain.
Meanwhile, Steve, we see the three top Republicans in the state of Wisconsin, House Speaker Paul Ryan, Governor Scott Walker, and Senator Ron Johnson, all now making it known they will skip Donald Trump's visit to Green Bay on Friday. It had seemed perhaps that Wisconsin may have been in play before. It now seems a decidedly longer shot at this point. And it comes as we see another Republican congressman say from Illinois, Adam Kinzinger, that he will not be voting for the GOP nominee. Can Donald Trump weather an active revolt within the party come November?
Yeah, I'm not sure the Wisconsin members are a revolt at this point. I think that's more of a situation where you have Johnson, who is running in a really tight re-election battle, Ryan, who has a primary next week, and Scott Walker basically just saying, look, you know what, we don't need to be around this guy right now. It's not an active sort of revolt against Trump, but it's just like it's not in our interest to be standing on the same stage as this guy. I think that's what's happening there. But can he weather a revolt? I mean, he's got bigger problems. I guess he could weather a revolt, but the revolt's only going to come because of the way he's campaigning and the way he's continuing with his campaign. He has an opportunity still to clean this up. I mean, you have a series of Republicans out there basically at a point where they just can't believe, coming out of the convention, where there was a sense of unity around the idea that Hillary Clinton was the opponent here, and that they were going to get behind the idea of an anti-Clinton campaign, and that would be what propelled them through the fall. And they now have a guy who, through his own series of mistakes, is not at all playing on that script. He's basically undermining that and almost handing her the election. Yes, we have 3 months before the election, but this is a problem that Republicans see, and there are very few days for him to turn this around, and I think panic is setting in. You're starting to see that with people not standing on the same stage as him.
And Jenna, speaking of standing on the stage, you cover the campaign. You've obviously been to countless events of the candidate. We see just in the last 48 hours, it is a laundry list of theoretically self-inflicted errors. His continuing fight with the Khan family, his refusal to endorse prominent Republicans, his accepting a Purple Heart with words that did upset many, including the VFW. And yet, we see the rancor outside that causes, and then we see the attitudes and the climate inside those rally halls. What do you make of how his supporters feel about him right now?
Well, for supporters who love him enough to wait hours in line to come to a rally, they're going to keep loving him no matter what he says and does. And a lot of people I talk to at rallies, after each and every one of these controversies, they say, the media is just blowing this up. The media is taking this out of context. They're making a big deal out of nothing. Why aren't they spending more time going after Hillary Clinton and things like that? And those aren't the people that he needs to win over to win an election. It's the people who are sitting at home, maybe watching part of his rally online and trying to make sense of what he said or did. But he's so energized by these rallies and by the crowd and by people cheering on a lot of these comments that he makes that might turn other people elsewhere off.
And yet, Steve, it seems those people to which Jenna refers are increasingly speaking. He is now down 10%. He is 10% behind, actually, Hillary Clinton in the latest national poll. Key swing states, Michigan down 9 points, New Hampshire down 15 points. These were all states, essentially, he was going to have to run the gamut to turn the electoral math in his favor come November. Are we increasingly seeing the undecideds decide?
Well, what we're seeing, and let's not sell Hillary Clinton short here, we're seeing her get a boost out of this convention, and we're seeing some of her numbers really turn around. The question of temperament, the question of whether she's qualified to be president, she's gone up on those numbers. I think people in these places and nationally feel that she did a good job selling her message at the convention, much better than Donald Trump. So there's that. There's also the idea that Trump is not going to go anywhere in this campaign if he can't reverse the numbers where people don't think he's qualified or prepared, or that he has the right temperament to be president. This is becoming an issue between two candidates who, as we said multiple times, are highly unliked by the American electorate. But coming out of the conventions, at least Americans are coming around to the idea of seeing Hillary Clinton possibly as the president of the United States. That's not happening with Trump.
Steve Chaggaris, as always, and Jenna Johnson of the Washington Post. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks.